Hey guys, welcome back to the Project Shira Rishiv here with marathon episode video number 59, I believe, or 58. Let's go with 58. And in this video particularly, we're going to cover more physical objects, items. This one's more like an artifact of a time I'm happy to be in the past. And it represents a time when I was quite codependent and in a very abusive household. I was ended up becoming, I guess you could say, a pawn, a pushover, someone who could be used and taken advantage of. But partway through, somewhere down the road, I ended up becoming that pawn to be used myself as part of my core personality, behavior, identity. I don't know if personality is the right word, given that personality is fairly stable throughout someone's lifetime, but I guess since I've already grown out of it, but long enough that I would say, yeah, sure, part of my personality. Of course, that's in the past now, and what I want to showcase to you are basically 3 cards that represent that. And so we have right near, in this screen, something very aesthetic, but the objects that we're going to showcase are also along the lines of something quite aesthetic. I will, of course, switch scenes. I just want to mention quickly that before we get into the nitty-gritty heavy topics for this video, that you can see on the left and right hand side is a bunch of the graphics there representing the brand of the project. And I realized something about me and the way that I'm presenting myself. Yeah, so anyways, a lot of the stuff here fitting the branding and fitting what I personally just like. I like this atmosphere, the crimson reds and the darker reds that highlight the more rose in and cheerful time, and more almost sadistic and dysfunctional time. So there's this contrast between the dark on the left and this beautiful stuff on the right, and they're both, one's a crimson red, the other's a scarlet red. I like that contrast between black and white a lot. It's something that I really enjoy. Anyways, I just realized I have the headphones on. I don't really need this on, to be honest. I want to talk to you guys directly. I'm going to switch scenes in a moment. The reason why we have it at this scene isn't just to talk about the aesthetic, it's because the equipment here I want to cover before we dive into the cards. If I switch over to the next scene, you can tell that basically this microphone is now the divider between what is the end of the Conius backdrop. So again, we're testing and experimenting. So I'm switching over to the backdrop scene as opposed to the window scene. And you can tell that as opposed to the first video released 24 hours earlier, that I've shifted the backdrop to not cover the rest of this area of the room. Right, before it was all black, and now there's this kind of white space here. So I think it makes it a little bit more interesting. I really do think that I just leave it like that. Even though it's harder to read the chat, all I have to do technically is just grab my hand down here, and I'm gonna do it live on this video, where I can just shift it like that very easily. So just like that, I can move it all the way through, and you can now read the chat. But I can also move it back out of the way. I think that makes things a lot more interesting. Okay, so I think that's what I'm going to do from now on. Further into the future, I'm just going to leave it somewhat like that. Allow the glow of the mic to stand out and delineate where the stand ends. Okay, so let's get to the topic at hand, which is the cards. And what are these 3 cards? So basically, they are birthday cards and thank you cards and Father's Day and Mother's Day cards. And honestly, speaking, looking at the things that I wrote, I kind of just shake my head, right? Looking back at who I was and how submissive I was to all of their tactics throughout the decades, actually. Which isn't true anymore, obviously, but you know, what a time to be coming. So the reason why we're covering these is because actually I didn't realize I wanted to do this. I didn't realize I was going to plan on doing this at all, because the motive was me actually having to apply right now to a housing shelter through a community organization to flee the current household. And you know, I believe I've recovered pretty much. I think I have still tendencies, of course, symptoms of CPTSD still, and other elements of some minor, you know, elements and traces of depressive swings and anxious swings when the right factors or the wrong factors, the wrong environmental factors get brought into the foreplay. For example, demonstrations from people of rage and anger and lies or deceit or gossip and rumors. Those really set me off still, but not to the degree that they used to, and I'm certainly not submissive to those behaviors anymore, so that's a much better bonus. But what I will say is that in fleeing this particular household in my current situation through the help of caseworkers, and I'm very thankful to my amazing caseworker. He's a great person. So is the organization that I'm speaking to, and so on and so forth, and various other, you know, resources and professionals out there. And it's just a heavy one, huh? I just want to talk about the cards, right? But you know, the reason why I bring out the cards is because I'm trying to conglomerate, acquire as much of the proof, evidence that would substantiate my claims and applications. And yet, I haven't really claimed any adversarial motives. So I'm not here to subjugate or persecute or, you know, sue or anything like that sort. All I'm trying to do is escape from this place, get out of here, even though financially I recognize I don't have the means, so that's why I'm seeking help. Yeah. And so, how do I put this? We had some important documents covered in a previous video, right? That was a heavy video as well. No, it wasn't heavy video because we avoided this topic. We usually try to avoid going deep into this topic. We just kind of cover it, you know, just in a very lightly, in a light manner, and not go any further. But in that video, in this video, sorry, we're going to go quite in depth into the underpinnings of the messages I had wrote inside this card of communication, honesty, forgiveness, and how so much of that I really should either not have given or provided. I should have provided, and I did, but should have held it reservedly, with reservedness, instead of so openly giving it so easily. I was too forthcoming in providing things that I should have held in private, so as to not stroke the ego and provide so much support for someone who would eventually, for several people who would eventually stab me in the back again. Not literally, of course, just otherwise I wouldn't be here, right? But psychologically, emotionally, socially. So anyways, but this isn't about, again, it's not supposed to be spite or vengefulness, or we're not even taking any sort of concrete financial or legal action. Like, that's not what we're trying to do, right? Because first of all, in many ways, I was successful in changing them. Part of this is credit to themselves on working on themselves and actually listening, which was very, very difficult to get them to do. But the second thing, and there are many, many other reasons aside from these two, but these are the two main ones that are coming to my top of my head right now. The first one is just, they've changed. The second is that they put a lot of hard work into changing themselves. And the third is that, I don't want to be a part of the cycle, right? So I'm not going to engage in the cycle of abuse, which means I'm not going to go ahead and go on the offensive. That's not what it's about. It's about me trying to seek peace of mind. And that's something that's quite elusive just in the general world, right? The world is quite abusive, right? That's just a natural reality. But that's what we're trying to do. And so in the nature of acquiring documentation, and for example, in the previous video, we covered like a database of tax documents from employers, from insurance companies, also from the family doctors, and so on and so forth, including residential envelopes like utility bills from also the residency, so the landlord. So this is not just the birth givers, it's also the landlord and the birth givers and the dynamic that's being an interplay. All of that coming together is I've been acquiring documents, right? Documentation. Again, none of this is persecutory. Most of this is to demonstrate why I should leave. It's to demonstrate why I need to get out of here. And it's not to demonstrate why they need to be brought to justice or anything like that. None. Okay, none of that. In fact, the main highlight of this video, hopefully, aside from me escaping, which we'll cover in the cards, reminiscent of what used to be, is also the second most important thing is basically I wish them well. I wish them well. Because not only have they changed substantially, it's not like they're not abusive still, but it's like it's reasonable, it's manageable, it's just within the confines of regular relationships. It's not something extreme anymore. The point is, but the effects are still here. The consequences of it are still here. The remaining side effects of, financial ruin and emotional turmoil and symptoms of just deeply unsettling and riveting trauma are still here. And it's reflected in just the dysfunctional household and all the arguments that still persist, that I actively avoid, but they still persist. And so what we have here are some cards here. In addition to the documentation from income tax and like employers or insurance companies, what we have here are 3 cards that are a demonstration of the goodwill I tried to show and the support that I gave so unconditionally, but so naively and so misguidedly. How I tried to love people who hated me, and the messages that I wrote of forgiveness and honesty, and how I completely embraced them only to have them spit in my face. And then by the time that they had finally changed, I stopped caring. And I should have stopped caring a long time ago. So it's good that I stopped caring fairly recently, but I wish I had stopped caring a long time ago. So this is the So this is the first card. At the back here, this entire card is actually sealed in plastic. I brought it to the hospital that I used to volunteer at. This is pre-COVID. This is pre-COVID era, of course, and with the high-risk situation right now, I can't actually go my chest. It's so tight now. I'll just laugh it off, right? Holy shit. that introduction probably took like 15 minutes. I didn't even know I was going to talk that long. We didn't even get to the cards yet. So probably I might have to split this video in two, like take one, take two. Yeah, that's what we'll do. No, we have to cover at least one card. Okay, so over here is a plastic piece of card, right? And I basically used the machine at the local hospital to glaze it over. Basically what that does is it basically applies hot glue, heat, and melds two sheets of plastic together around the rims of the edges, so that it basically forms this seal across the entire surface of a card. So I know there's a name for this. I'm making it sound a lot more complicated than it really is, but I can't remember the name. Like when you're in school, you watch your like way back when you were in school, you watch your teachers give out sometimes these handouts that they may put on the projector or whatever, or something that they keep in the classroom, but is not meant to be taken home, so they leave it there, and it's a plastic protector on top. So this one is a card for Father's Day. I never was able to resonate with that or relate to that particular day, if I'm being honest, for a long time. And so it says here, from your son, Dad. And engraved on the inside is, I should probably get rid of displays here. I'm not thinking straight right now. We have to make a second video. We're not thinking straight at all. Get rid of the display capture. And get rid of the Edge browser. We don't even need the border necessarily, but we're gonna keep it here for now. So just have the ring light here. You can't really see much of it because of the glare and also the poor resolution, but it says, I don't always remember to say the most important things, like what a good father you are, or how grateful I am to be your son. I don't know why I bought this card, honestly. Looking back on how untrue those words are, because I actually say it too often. When I was growing up, I used to say how good of a father he was to his face, even though I never could actually feel that way. So it's like I was lying for my own safety, because if you're walking on what might be like a landmine, you walk on eggshells, making sure not to set off the demon within. Or how grateful I am to be your son. It's like, I was too grateful. I don't know. Sometimes I was just too grateful for things that, I used to tell myself that because I'm suffering adversity from him, it makes me stronger. So I have to be thankful for him doing what he's doing to me. It makes me stronger that he's hurting me. But in many ways, it actually just made me weaker. It gave me a disorder. And have a happy Father's Day, Dad. You can't see on the side here, but basically there's inscripted writing that I wrote in personally, and that for some reason has like disappeared, because I don't know why it disappeared. It's actually supposed to be on the inside, but it seems that even on the inside, the ink fades away somehow. So what it says is, how about I read this to you in the next video, okay? So I notice it's already 19 minutes in, so we're gonna pause this, and then we'll continue into the next one. Okay. yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. It's too long already.